guys, it's Lily, and today I wanted to do a video on a topic which I think is sadly familiar to many of us in the planner addict community, planner fail. So basically, now that we're coming to the end of September and starting to think about 2016 planner options, I thought it would be a good time to go through the planners that haven't worked for me in 2015 and just like kind of show you which ones they are and what went wrong and what I think could be done about that in future to avoid further planner fails. So sadly, I've got quite a selection of planner disasters to show you, but I think it's not all bad. I'm kind of treating it as a learning experience. So I just thought I'd go through them one by one. You've probably seen some of these before if you've seen my previous videos, but some of them haven't made an appearance for a while. So the first one is the planner that I started off the year with. I started this planner in December 2014. This is a Moleskine Vertical Weekly 2015 diary, and I've used Moleskine the year before, the whole of the previous year, I might add, which now seems like quite a feat, but that was a daily diary, a day per page, and this one is a week on 2 pages. So just to show you what I liked about it, so the first thing that I liked is this yearly calendar. This is a year on 1 page, 2015 and then 2016, and I was just using this to mark off like days when I would be away or when I was teaching a summer course, like things that I could see at a glance how the year would look. And then it's also got this vertical yearly planner, which I was using to sort of mark off like which days I was expecting to be doing what, and that was also good for kind of at a glance planning. So that was something that I liked about it, that worked. And something that I really like that it sadly doesn't have in 2016 is the same thing for the next year. So you could do a lot of forward planning. Basically, you had the whole year, the whole next year for forward planning, which was great. But I didn't get that far that I needed to use it. Then I was using it as, here you can see, this is a kind of typical week on 2 pages as I was using it at the beginning. Something that kind of bugged me about it, but it wasn't a major thing, was that it doesn't have lines between the days. So there's like kind of no way of, sort of easily marking off, like distinguishing sort of one day from the next. Obviously, it's not that big a problem because you know that the columns are vertical. But that was one thing. Another thing was that it has this gap in the middle of the page. This is just this design. There are other ones, but this vertical week on 2 pages has it starts at 8 and then it goes until 1, and then it has a gap between 1 and 2. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is. Presumably they're thinking it's the middle of the day and you'll be at lunch, and so but I don't know why. To me, it would make more sense to put the gap at the bottom of the page. So it kind of bothered me that it was in the middle, and also it's not a huge gap, so it's not like you can write a lot of stuff. And then it goes until 8, which was also kind of not like the end of the world, but sort of slightly annoying, because often I was taking language classes that would finish at 9, so it's like you can't write any of that down, and I couldn't write how long I would be out for because it just ends and there's very little space at the bottom of the page. So that was another thing that was like sort of annoying. Then other things are like it's not hugely roomy. It's something that I liked about it was that you have 2 lines per hour. So here's 8, and then you have another line for half 8, and then you have 9. So I really like that. I think that's a good arrangement. But you don't have a lot of room on each line. So you kind of end up having to put things in other places. And that was like something that I felt like was a problem because there's really no other places to put them. Here I started decorating. This was when I was just kind of getting into decorating, so I started colouring in the pages. But I really think that it's good if you're just writing down appointments basically, but if you have a lot of to-dos, there's no place to put the to-dos. And that was kind of bugging me because, so you can see I started writing things in just like kind of here. Sometimes I would write things in on blank days that had already gone by, or I'd write them in the gap here. But it's just, it kind of felt messy. So as it went on, that kind of bothered me more and more, because it was like, just, like where to put things. I was putting notes down at the bottom here, but there's not much room to write. So it's just, it's kind of too small, essentially. And I kept using it until about February, and in mid-February, I got my Hobonichi, and I switched to that, and I found that much better because it's a little bit wider. I think that's one of the issues, is that it's wider, so you feel like you have a bit more room. It has lines between the pages. At some point, you can see I started drawing lines between the pages, between the days here. You see, to sort of try to delineate them a bit more. So it was okay, but it just felt a bit messy and kind of homemade, and the Hobonichi did everything that I wanted to, sort of had everything that this doesn't have. And so at the time, I think because I wasn't, I was just sort of getting into proper planner addict territory, I was really sort of horrified by the thought of abandoning this and not using it for the whole year. And I thought I'd have to stick with this for the whole year and then switch over to Hobonichi in 2016. But then I got a Hobonichi to use as a home planner, and I just saw how much better that was, basically. And so I sacked it. And that has worked out really well. So the Hobonichi Cousin has been a complete success in this respect. As in, I was using this for a work planner. Well, at the time, this was actually, when I started the year, this was my only planner, if you can imagine. So I was writing everything down in this, but there were a lot of things that I just didn't write down. I think that now that I have more planners, I would write down. So it was primarily a work planner. So after I switched over to the Hobonichi, I kept using this for the next few months. I was using it as a gratitude journal. So you can see here, I was still using it, and that was fine. The problem with that, which is not its fault, but it's just that I felt like there was too much space to fill, so I was writing one day's worth per day, and it just started to feel like this big burden, like I had so much to write, and I felt like gratitude shouldn't really be a big burden. You should be happy to do it, and you should enjoy it, because otherwise it's like a chore, and then that kind of misses the point. So that was the end of that. So as you can see, the kind of second half of the year is blank, and I still feel sad about that, because there are things I really like about it. But yeah, I just couldn't get it to work. For a while we were going to use it as a home planner, because we started off the year with the A5 Hobonichi as a home planner, and then it turned out that was it was too much. We didn't need so much for the home planner. The Cousin is amazing, but I think it's best suited if you have a lot of planning that you need to do, or if you're using it as a planner and journal or something. But just for home planning, for things like vet appointments and take out the recycling and stuff like that, it felt like it was being underused. This probably would have been okay as a home planner, except we didn't need the times. And again, it's kind of narrow, and I had started decorating the home planner. I would actually like to decorate this. I did, in fact, do a spread here where I decorated it. So this time I was using this as a vision book. So writing things down that I want to happen that haven't happened yet. And then I even had a brief experiment using it as an exercise tracker. So here I wrote down when I'd sort of been on the exercise bike, but by this point it was it was too far gone, basically. It was just such a mess. It had been used for so many different things that I just didn't want to use it anymore at all. So that, sadly, has gone in my planner graveyard. The next one, this is a kind of similar thing, keeping in the same vein. This I actually ordered by mistake. This is a Moleskine 2015 daily diary, softback. And I ordered this as a replacement for my 2014 one, which was hardback. It was the same thing. It was a daily diary, but it was hardback. And so I ordered this, and then I realized that it was too bulky, and I wanted something like, something more portable. And that was when I ordered this one. And so by that time, I already had this because I ordered it way in advance. And so then I was like, well, what am I going to do with this? And so I was using this as a gratitude book. Sorry, I got mixed up. This was when I stopped using it as a planner. I started using it as a vision book. This was a gratitude book, so I was writing down all the nice things that had happened in the day. But it was just too much, as you can see here, like this whole page. It was a lot. So, and I would usually almost always leave it until late at night. And I kind of felt like I had to fill the page because, like if you didn't write the whole page, then it would look unseemly. And so it was too much of a project. It was taking a long time, and so at some point in all of this madness, I switched to using half the page for gratitude and half the page as a vision book. And then I think that I did this up until One Book July. Yes. So at some point I thought, okay, this is ridiculous. I'll just start writing down, just as much as I feel like. So I was doing that for a while, and then I thought I'll switch this into my personal planner, because by that time I had a personal planner, and in the spirit of One Book July, I was like, I don't need this whole book. I will just put in some diary pages that are specifically for like gratitude and vision. So that was what I started doing, and so this was relegated, and I couldn't think of anything else to do with it. I did use it for like half the year, and I think that's kind of like, you just sometimes have to accept the fact that you are not going to use the planner for the whole year. And a lot of people in the planner community are good at doing that and just moving on. But I was like, oh no, I haven't filled it up. But whatever. Because it's. I think I'd rather not use it for the whole year and be happy with the system than kind of feel like it's a burden and have to use it until I get to the end of the year. Especially because with these like gratitude journals, I've decided not to keep them. I'm keeping my planners. I never used to keep them. I always threw them away when the year ended because I just didn't like having clutter. But now I kind of think it would be nice to have them to look back on. So at least for now, I'm keeping them, especially because sometimes I need them in videos, like to go back and refer to them. But for this, I think it's just too, like, I'd end up with too many old, planners in a box. So I'm getting rid of this anyway. So it's not like I really need to keep it to look over. Yeah, so that's that. Then we move on to the A6 Hobonichi. And this was a really sad planner fail. So I got the A6 Hobonichi because, as I mentioned, I started off pretty close to it was like mid-January, I think, where I got a cousin to try as a home planner. And that didn't work out for reasons aforementioned. And so then I thought, I love the Hobonichi, so I thought, it's too much. Like, we don't need a cousin. What would be good would be an A6. So I ordered the A6. And when the A6 came, I was like, wow, this is so cute. I love it. I was really excited about it. And that was right when I sort of was just making my first forays into decoration. As you could see in this one, like, this wasn't really decorated. I just started colouring in a bit, and I used a little bit of washi tape. But James had some washi tape. He got into washi tape before me. And so he already had some. And so I started using that. And then I ordered a box. Looking back, now that I have this is my box of washi tape. It seems like hilariously naive, but I bought this like one little box of like a set of washi tape from a bookshop, and I was like, this is my washi tape. And I didn't really kind of know how to use it. I hadn't seen that many decorating videos at that point. This was quite early in the year. So I started using it. So again, like, this is something I liked about it. I was crossing off the weeks. Now I would do this with a sticker. I would just put a sticker over the completed month. And was using this to sort of track various things. This was not systematic. This was like, I ordered a Fodori, exercise bike, how much Panda weighs, my dog, that kind of stuff. It was a bit messy. So, and I divided it between, like, this was me, this was James, and this was Panda. So aesthetically it wasn't very nice looking. I hadn't really got into the whole like kind of making your planner look pretty concept at that point. And then I started putting washi tape at the bottom here, which I think was my first mistake. This is where it started to go wrong. Because at the time I was like, oh, I'm decorating, this is so exciting. But it made the spine really thick, which I know that's something that can happen with the Hobonichi. But I think I shouldn't have put it so close to the spine because it kind of like messed up the binding here. It like pulled it away. And it just got really thick. And because there wasn't any other decoration, I wasn't like making the whole spread look nice. It just had this strip of washi tape at the bottom, which I don't really think worked very well. So like if I was doing it now, then I would have like, you know, put stickers on so that like the whole page would look decorated, but it just had this strip of washi, and then I started putting a couple of stickers on, but not enough to make it look nice. I think I was kind of using them in a very haphazard way. These were some My Little Pony stickers that we happened to have, and so I was experimenting with the washi tape, but I just don't think that this looks good. Like, this is not kind of now what I would consider sort of aesthetically pleasing decoration. And it made it all very thick. And because the pages are so thin, I think you really need to have some kind of consistent type of decoration so that the whole page is the same weight. Because as it is, like, the bottom was really thick and then the rest of it was thin. And then I started putting washi tape here, which was the same problem because it kind of made the area close to the spine not look good. And I did this for a whole bunch of the daily pages as well. And you can see that the daily pages are kind of a mess. Like, I was putting in these Moleskine diary stickers here, and then there was handwriting and the strip of washi tape, and it just started to feel messy. And so I kind of didn't want to open it. It just didn't look nice, and I didn't like it. And then I thought I'll start putting washi tape on here to divide, because you know you have this kind of faint line in the middle dividing the times from the rest of the page. So you can use this for appointments and this for to-dos and other stuff. So I thought, oh, I'll put the washi tape here. And then so I did that for a while. And then I thought, actually, the best place to put the washi would be on the side here so that it's unobtrusive. So then I put washi down, like this was all kind of in the space of one day I did this. I was like really into the whole idea of using washi. So I put washi down for the rest of it. And then, so I ended up with this kind of very unsightly thing where this part is really thick here from where all the washi is here. This part is just like really ugly here, and there's no consistency. It's like if you were kind of consistently putting washi and stickers on and the whole thing looked thick at the end, I think that would be fine and you could kind of chart your progress through the year. But as it is, it just got all like lumpy, and then I wasn't really decorating the rest of it, and so sometimes James was writing it and sometimes I was writing it in it, and it just, I think you get the point. It just felt like really messy and ugly, and I didn't like it. And then we both agreed that we didn't like it and it wasn't working and we didn't want to use it, and we thought that it was something to do with the size, like the A6 was too small to take seriously. So for quite a while I was sure that the problem was the A6 size, and I was like, I'm never going to use the A6 size again, it's too small, I don't like it. But then later in the year I got a pocket Filofax, and that size was perfect for my personal planner. So then I started thinking, maybe it's not the size, because a pocket Filofax is actually smaller than an A6 Hobonichi. It's a little bit smaller. And that worked perfectly, and there's tons of room. So there definitely would have been enough room for our daily home planning. So now I'm thinking it wasn't the size at all, it was just the fact that I kind of like messed it up with the unsightly use of, just kind of ill-informed use of washi tape and not like enough decoration. And now if I were doing it over again, I would do it the way I use my home planner now, which is I don't write anything on the page, I just put everything on stickers. And then it just looks great, and you kind of distribute the stickers so that you've got writable stickers where you have your to-dos, and then you just have decorative stickers for the rest of it, so you get a nice even surface and the whole thing would look pretty, and that's what I would do. But sadly now I think it's too late for this one. This is a spring cousin, so it's really a shame because it's got loads of room left. So if it were blank, I would switch back into it, because now I'm, kind of really into the whole idea of using the Hobonichi again. Yeah, but it's just for this one, I think it's too late for it. So sadly, this one has to go in the planner graveyard yard again, but I don't think that spells the end of the Hobonichi. Unlike in the case of these Moleskines, I think that there is still hope for an A6 Hobonichi. In fact, I'm planning to use one, the avec, for my personal planner for next year. So that's a different story. Anyway, so sadly another victim for the planner graveyard. Then we have this one. When you move from bound planners to ring planners, obviously you don't have quite the same problem in that the binder will always be useful. So it's not really like this is a complete waste, because these ones I can't do anything else with them. But this is, you've got two things. You have the binder and then you have the insert. So I just wanted to talk about this because this is another one that kind of didn't work. And I just wanted to explain why, but it's not quite so tragic a case. So I got this to use as my personal planner. These are just some spare inserts. And the personal planner was sort of a late development. So first I had my work planner, and I've had for years a work planner which I use for everything. Then I got the home planner, which is now in an A5 Filofax. And then I just bought this personal size planner because I'd never had personal size before. I always thought like A5 or sort of roughly A5. Like the Moleskines are slightly smaller than A5, but they're basically, you know, kind of A5 equivalent. So I thought that was the size for me. A6 didn't work. Pocket was too small, I assumed. I thought personal was too small as well. James really liked personal, but I'd always thought A5. And then I saw this Paperchase personal planner that I really liked, and I just kind of like bought it because it was on sale, not knowing what I would do with it. And then I was like, I have to think of something to do with it. What can I do with it? And then it like kind of hit me, and it seemed obvious, like a personal planner for stuff that's not family and not work. And then I was like, yes, this is awesome. And then for some reason I switched to the Domino. I really like Dominoes. They're my favorite kind of Filofax line. So a lot of stuff has been taken out, but it had stickers in here, an extra pen loop. I've done a setup video of this when it was in the Paperchase planner, I think, but it was the same setup. Some more stickers. That was just a to-do list. And then I had the dashboard, and then my elephant postman, my beloved elephant postman, list of video ideas, planner supplies that were ordered, and like planner notes for planner videos. And then this was just like kind of random notes, calendar, which I was using the same way that you saw in the Hobonichi for tracking. Now I'm using a pocket-sized Filofax for the same thing with these Paperchase inserts. This worked really well. There was absolutely nothing wrong with this. This was the diary inserts. It's making me feel very nostalgic. It was so beautiful. I loved it. And by this time, I got into the pretty planning. So this is how I would use a Hobonichi if I were going to use one of these for a home planner. So I've got, then I have like sort of vision here, and I was using this for gratitude. So, oh, and then I had like an exercise tracker here. So this was like a perfect setup. It was fantastic. There was nothing wrong with it. I loved it. The only issue was the kind of bound versus ring planner issue, which I kind of still feel like I'm a bound planner person at heart. I always had a bound planner. I never had ring planners until like this year. Partly because I'm left-handed, so writing on the rings is really inconvenient, and partly because I've never really liked the look of the rings. I think that a bound planner looks really nice. It's like a book, whereas this kind of feels like reminds me of like a school binder, which I never thought looked that beautiful, even though obviously like a Filofax is much more beautiful than a school binder, but there's just something about the rings that I never liked. So that's always kind of been an issue philosophically, I guess, going back and forth like planner psychology. But I really liked this system. It was perfect. It had everything I needed. The only problem was that this, combined with my cousin, which is my work planner, carrying both of these around every day in my bag, it was so heavy. It was gigantic. And the cousin, I still feel like now I can't really downsize the cousin because like this size just works so well for work, and I sort of use all of the sections, and I don't think I could move down to A6. I've been contemplating it because it would be a lot lighter, but at the moment I don't think I can. So for a long time I was just leaving this at home. Well, a long time, I don't know, like a month and a half or something. Leaving this at home and just taking the work planner out with me, which was fine, except then that kind of almost invalidated the purpose of it, because it was like, if I wanted to do something that wasn't work-related while I was out, like go to Paperchase, I would write it in here, and then I would have to transfer it into the work planner when I went out. And because this was the smaller one, it seemed like silly that I wouldn't be able to take this out with me, so I started thinking about a smaller solution. That was the only problem with this. I would have stayed in this otherwise. I loved the size, like it was great, but it just felt like it wasn't, and it, obviously on its own, this is very portable, but in conjunction with another bigger planner that I had to take out because I had to take it with me to work, it was too big. And so that was why this went in the planner graveyard. But I still really like this, and I would like to use it for something else in future. It's just that I think since One Book July, I'm trying to be a bit careful about using like 5 million different planners at once for different things, and I'm trying to keep it just to the 3 main ones: home, work, personal. So that's why this isn't doing anything at the moment, and it's kind of sad because I did really like this one and I didn't want to give it up. So in fact I ended up transferring it into a pocket size file fax, the same one, the pattern pine domino. So in a way, it kind of just shrunk. The whole setup is the same, but I like the size. I like the personal size. So if I could think of something to do with this, then I would totally use it again. But yeah, that's this one. The next victim. And then finally, we have this one. So this was a very short-lived experiment. Around the time when I was having problems with this because of the size, I started kind of getting nostalgic for bound planners. I did obviously still have a bound planner at the time, the cousin. So it's not like I'd completely given up on bound planners, but I was like, the new Moleskines were coming out, the 15, 16 Moleskines. It's like, I love Moleskines. How fickle of me to have abandoned them. So I thought, if I had a weekly A5 Moleskine, that would be quite thin. I could use that as my personal planner instead of this, and it would be lighter because it's quite, compared to this, it's really slim. And it would be nice to decorate a Moleskine. I think that was part of my motivation, was that I thought I haven't ever decorated a Moleskine because, as you saw when I was using them before, I wasn't decorating. And you don't really see that many bound planners at all on YouTube or like Moleskines being decorated. So I thought that would be cool. So I set it up. I'm not even sure if I did a setup of this because it was such a short-lived experiment. But I put some sticky notes on here, and then I was marking off the months here. It's just like all beautiful, and then I had like nice washi tape. Like this kind of style of decorating is what I should have been doing for the Hobonichi, the A6, and then I was using this to track like exercise and stuff. And then I had a list of planner videos here. So I was using the kind of the pages at the front that I wouldn't use for other things for stuff that I'd had in the ringed planner. So I copied over all this stuff and like covered up the headings that it had and put washi tape on. And then this was planner stuff that I was waiting for. This was originally, I think, a timetable, and so I just covered up all of these with stickers, and so I was really happy about that. Yeah, this is what it looked like plain. And then because I'd started it a few weeks late, I had a couple of weeks that I could use, so I was using this as a credit card tracker. This is a list of languages that I'd studied, and then this was a vision book, vision list. And then my setup was, it's a week on one page and then a page of notes. So I was using this, obviously I decorated this, used this as a sort of week on one page, and then used this as a gratitude book. So it's like it had kind of this much room per day. And as you can see, this only lasted for like a week and a half, because the problem was that there was no room for notes. So if this was trying to incorporate everything that I had in here, if this was the sort of the weekly schedule, which worked, it was okay. It's not a lot of room, but especially if you decorate it, but it's okay because seeing as how I have my planning divided between 3 different planners, if this was just for personal stuff, it wasn't a huge amount of stuff. But if this was for gratitude, then like that's it for the year. There are very few notes pages. There are like 3 notes pages at the moment. 5, 6 note pages at the back. So I didn't have anywhere to put video ideas. I didn't have anywhere to put like kind of the other stuff that I'd had in here, and just like kind of random notes. Because at the time I was doing this Welsh language course, and I wanted somewhere to be able to write down notes for that, which I did have, just notes pages in this planner. So I just abandoned it, even before it had a chance not to work. I guess I was just like, no, because I missed all of these things, and also I'd had this kind of thing in here. I'd had these like cards that I punched and put in, and I liked that, and there was nowhere really to do that in here. So I put some in with washi tape. I've taken them out now, but I had one like kind of here where the planner section started, but it wasn't really a proper section. So I guess I kind of missed the flexibility that you have in the ring planner, where you can just say, this is my section for planner stuff, this is my section for X, this is my section for Y. And I really like that. So not having it, kind of in sections, I didn't like as much. And also it wasn't that much thinner. Like, if you compare this to the pocket size, this is my pocket size Planner Facts. This is like quite a bit smaller. So it was thinner, and it's thinner than this, but it kind of didn't really, it wasn't, I guess, worth it. Like, if still having both of these it seemed like quite a bit. Anyway, so this went in the planner graveyard as well, and I was sad about that, but now James has decided he's going to use this as an exercise tracker, so hopefully all is not lost, because it's 15/16, so it's still got a lot of space left in it, and if he uses it for an exercise tracker, it would be perfect for that. So hopefully this is coming out of the graveyard. It's like the kind of graveyard that you have in Magic the Gathering, where it's temporary. So basically, yeah, that's it. Those are the planners that I have used over the year that haven't worked out for various reasons. So let this be a cautionary tale to you. And I'm hoping to avoid this situation in 2016, although you never know. Let's face it, being a planner addict, I've already ordered Hobonichi Weeks and Hobonichi Avec, so I'm bound to get into some kind of trouble not being able to use both of those, and I might have another planner graveyard video for you in 2016. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little trip through all of my planner mishaps over the year. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!